Hello, friend. A warm welcome to the Wellness Inspired Podcast, a place where you can find inspiration, motivation, and empowerment in the pursuit of a wellness lifestyle. I'm your host, Sherry Davidson. I am a wellness coach and acupuncturist in Houston, Texas, and I'm deeply passionate about health and well-being. And as always, I'm here with my Terrier Mix rescue dog and co-host, Finn. He's also my co-worker, trail runner, and forever loyal sidekick. And we have an exciting episode for you today. I had the most amazing conversation with Kimberly Phipps-Nichol. She is the owner of Houston Hemporium, and their mission is to educate and elevate the conversation about CBD and hemp. And we did just that. CBD and hemp have become buzzwords in the health and wellness space. And as CBD makes its way into products and conversations, we need to take a step back to educate ourselves on CBD and hemp's history, benefits, and current policies. CBD has gained notoriety over the years for its ability to relieve physical ailments such as muscle spasms, chronic pain, anxiety, stress, nausea, and more, with minimal side effects. But there's still much to be done. Entering into conversations about CBD with an informed view will elevate the discourse and lead to effective use and better policy decisions in the future. So if you're curious, join me in a conversation with Kimberly to gain insight into this amazing plant so we can make educated decisions. This episode is packed with information. We'll talk about CBD products. Kimberly gives some tips on what to look for legit CBD products. Also, we'll talk about bills and policies that are being proposed in the 88th Texas legislature. And we'll talk about how you can get involved and have an impact if you choose. Like I said, this episode is packed with great information, and I am so excited to share it with you. Well, hi, Kimberly. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you for the invite, Sherry. It's always great to be here.
Absolutely. You were on episode 17.
Oh, my goodness.
No, 13. Sorry, you were on
Hot
episode...
minute ago. Lucky
Yeah.
13.
Lucky 13.
I love that. 13's a number.
Well, this
in
will be number 33.
I love it.
So super excited. Last time you were here and we did an episode on biophilic design and health and sustainability, which went over really well.
Yes.
So thank you for that. But today you were here to talk about the other half of you, CBD and hemp.
Yeah.
You are an interior designer, but you're also the owner of Houston Hemporium here in Houston, and you are educating and elevating all things hemp.
That is the whole idea.
Well, you had a brick and mortar, and you
Yes.
recently went online. You know, I drive over there sometimes because I get my hair, therapy hair studio.
Yeah.
And I think about you all the time because all the construction.
Yeah.
And I was wondering.
That was the challenge. So amazingly enough, we were able to survive the pandemic pivot, right?
Yeah.
Because we had actually opened the store before the
Right.
pandemic. And so we were very fortunate because we were able to survive that. But the construction along Alabama
It's awful.
in front was so bad, and it really made our place inaccessible for about 3 months. And as a retail shop, when you're finally getting back into that, people coming out, not hiding at home anymore, you can't not be accessible for 3 months. And so that was really the kicker.
I was
so
wondering.
after 3 years, we made it 3 years, and that's a long time. And then to end up having to go online, but it's been a great transition for us. I still get to do not just podcasts like this, but last week I spoke at a Rotary Club and to give an update. So it's still a great opportunity to get out and share the word, but not have to be tied to a space anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, you know, I am tied to a space because of what I do. And I really love what I do, but sometimes I just want to be a little bit more mobile.
Yes, I totally understand.
Yeah.
Maybe that would be like, we should get you one of those really fabulous Winnebagos where you could go around and visit everybody instead of you have to come here.
That's what I need to do. But I it is stability for me, which I do like. But it is, if I'm not here, then I'm not working.
Exactly.
Not making money.
Exactly. I know.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. You know, I was going to come to your, you were having a party, like a closing party And then I had some family stuff, so ended
Totally
up not coming.
understand.
But I have thought about you over there. So today I'm excited to talk to you because a lot of my patients ask me questions all the time about CBD. And honestly, I don't know a lot about it, so I can't educate them. I know there is a lot of hype around CBD, and when there's a lot of hype around something, I feel like you just have to educate yourself more about it, so you can make educated choices in the marketplace.
Yeah, there's so much noise on the line, right? And you have to get past, like you said, the hype.
Yeah. So I'm excited to talk to you today. I know we're going to talk about policies, new policies and bills around it. So I'm excited for you to educate us on that.
Yeah.
So what I would like to do is just give you the floor here to start. Tell people who you are, how you got into this. You got to share your family story because you know how much I love that story. She has a long history in hemp. So yeah, take it away and tell people a little bit about you.
My pleasure. Well, thank you again for the invite. So 2019, my husband, Tom Griggs, and I, we decided that we wanted to open up a brick and mortar space that really gave people an opportunity to have a sense of community. Just like here, when we talked about being in a location, there's something about being able to do more than just online based research, right? And community is super important, especially around things like health and wellness.
Yes.
And so instead of just going online, there's a lot of stores that are online.
Yeah.
That's why we wanted to launch the brick and mortar. But really, it came out of two things. It came out of a personal experience with using cannabinoids to unfreeze my shoulder and make it so that I had range of motion and was not living in excruciating pain because I had torn the labrum. And the orthopedic surgeon said, look, I can't operate on you until you unfreeze your shoulder. So it was a multi-step thing. And I had learned about CBD as a topical, and I thought, well, heck, I might as well give it a try because the process of unfreezing the shoulder was so painful.
Yeah.
And
Acupuncture.
And I didn't know you at the time, right? And so this is the beautiful thing is you get to actually meet other people and learn about new things. And that's what I love about exchanges like this is that I get to learn about something that I don't know as much about. And so in that process of trying the CBD, well, I tried it too because I don't do well with pharmaceutical medications, and the pain medications that have been given to me in the past really were tearing up my stomach. And I just thought there's got to be a better way, right? I don't need to make myself sick trying not to feel pain. Like, how do I find this happy medium?
Right.
And the funny thing is in the 3 years of being at the store, that was a really common attraction for a lot of people who came in was that they were struggling because they had been given these cocktails of medications to control a variety of things, and it was creating as many challenges as they were experiencing.
Yeah, the side effects.
Exactly. Yeah. And so after about 2 weeks of use of this topical, I regained full range of motion in my shoulder, and I wasn't in pain. And I thought, okay.
And had no side effects.
Right. Exactly. Except, maybe you don't wear the silk shirt right after you put the salve on, but this is first world problem, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I was not in pain and I wasn't making myself sick in the process. And I thought, oh, well, maybe if this works for me, it would work for some others. And so that's how I got into it, specifically on the cannabinoid side. But on the industrial hemp side, the story that I know you love is that I am a direct descendant of several U.S. founding families. And I don't know if they teach this in school anymore, but one of the interesting things that you learn about American history, especially pre-Revolutionary War, is that anybody who came over that had access to land and farmed was required to grow hemp. Hemp was an absolute necessity for transatlantic travel because ropes and sails were made from hemp. The beautiful thing about this plant, not just on the, the cannabinoid and medicinal side, is that as a fiber, it is extremely strong. It does really well with a lot of extended exposure to water because it doesn't have, it's antimicrobial and antibacterial. And so it doesn't grow the nasties.
Interesting.
And so when you're out at sea for a really long period of time and you've got sails and you've got ropes, you don't need them deteriorating prematurely.
Right.
UV resistant, also very important in the sun. And so
sounds like good running gear.
I am always in search of that perfect blend of fiber that is both sustainable and wicking and comfortable. So we can have a different conversation about that, right? Exactly. You don't want it to get that smell.
Yeah.
And so, industrial hemp was extremely important, and you were required by law to grow it. And so it was really prolific in the U.S. up until the 1930s. And then it was grouped in with its cousin, marijuana, or as it's called. So marijuana is not actually a technical term. It was a term that was given to make the masses more easily associate it with something foreign. And so it was given the name of what Mexican Americans and Mexicans called it, specifically as a means of othering it, instead of referring to it as hemp or cannabis, because cannabis is actually Latin name, right? And so by using language to make people fear it, put it in another space, it made it easier for them to outlaw it. So we had the Stamp Act, which came along in the 1930s, which basically made it so extraordinarily expensive and difficult to grow hemp that it wasn't.
So what was the reason for that? This is a whole nother conversation.
It could be a whole nother conversation. So there's a lot of information available, but basically, it was really easy to use it as a means. So when people consume cannabis, specifically, a lot of folks, depending on their chemistry, it kind of opens their mind, and it allows them to have quality debate and philosophize and have interesting. What it doesn't do is make for easily controlled people. And so when you think about how you control the masses, right? Media is an important part of controlling the masses.
Sure. We see
and
that.
Specifically, William Randolph Hearst, who was a newspaper magnate, had invested in thousands of acres of timber for paper. So hemp had been used as paper, manila hemp.
It's like the miracle plant.
It's been used for many, many things for thousands of years. And strong paper was one of the things. And he realized that until they didn't have cannabis or industrial hemp fiber competing against timber, that he couldn't really make the money that he needed to on his investment. And so he used his power as a newspaper owner to constantly have stories of the reasons in their minds that this should be outlawed. And so they grouped industrial hemp with cannabis. They're all the same plant, but scientifically there's cannabis has sativa L, which is more of hemp industrial, and that's what the both the federal and many state laws are pegged towards that it doesn't have more than 0.3% delta 9 THC by weight. So there's, all of these rules, but basically the idea was that if we could, they wanted to make it so that industrial hemp as the fiber was basically seen as marijuana, because they tried to use the excuse that, well, the law enforcement can't tell the difference, what's growing where, right? And so we're just going to tell you that you can't grow industrial hemp as well as cannabis that was being used by people for health purposes, for mind expanding purposes, right? And so they grouped it together. Yep. And so then the only time that we saw a little release of that was during World War II, when we couldn't get hemp from the Philippines because of the Pacific Theater fight. And so there was a hemp for victory push here in the U.S. where hemp seeds were given to farmers so that they could grow industrial hemp because it was needed for the war effort. But once World War II was over, that went away, and it stayed outlawed until here in the U.S. we had the preliminary. It was a farm bill that actually was that established a pilot program in 2014. But it was really the Farm Bill of 2018 that made it allowable to grow industrial hemp across the U.S.
So industrial hemp, meaning that it is used for products like rope, like you were talking about, or clothing, or is that what you mean by industrial hemp?
Well, industrial hemp, yes.
Yeah.
Generally used for those things. But it could also be used for cannabinoids, and that is why we saw this big explosion of CBD after 2018, because now you can make anything derived from the cannabis plant, provided that it doesn't go above that 0.3%.
3.3, okay.
And so, and by the way, that number it's an old number, was not very highly scientifically arrived at. And there are a lot of people with issues about using that particular number because it's an extremely low number. And so when we get into the deeper conversation about medical cannabis and the bills that are coming up in the Texas legislature this year, that's where it becomes an important part of the conversation. Because as you know, here in a health and wellness environment, you don't want legislators telling you how to practice your specialty of medicine. That's not their job. And that's what they're doing with a lot of the medical cannabis legislation, is they're telling physicians what they can and can't do. And a lot of physicians are not happy about that. A lot of patients are not happy about that because it feels like that super critical bond of trust and privacy that patient-physician has gets meddled with. So So that's interesting. Why do you think that there is a push to do this? Like, why are they intervening and saying that you can't do this or you can't prescribe this? Why? Well, I think that...
And is that just in Texas?
I think it's mostly in Texas. Certainly, there are some states where it's still completely outlawed. There are other states that have medical cannabis where...
Like Colorado.
So Colorado started as medical, and then they went what's called full recreational or full adult legal use in 2014. So they have a very established program. There are some towns in Colorado where it's only medical cannabis and there's no adult recreation. And so the dispensaries, you have to have your doctor's recommendation. You have to be in the system in order to have access to that. And the dispensaries, they're responsible for making sure that you have all of that documentation in order for you to be able to shop. Whereas, the recreational ones, like, you can go in and buy.
So if there is a town in Colorado that is full recreational, like you can get a product that is above 0.3%.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's places like Texas that are still very much stuck in this space of that cap. So it's a challenge for sure. But
yeah. So as far as like picking products, what are your tips and suggestions? Because I never know what to look for. Like I'll pick stuff up, and I've tried some things and it's not cheap.
so one of the reasons that we liked having the store and that even though we're online, we are eyeing some pop-ups and farmers markets that would give us an opportunity to have a conversation.
Yeah.
Because it comes down to just like you wouldn't necessarily expect somebody who's shopping in Whole Foods to know what the things that you offer do because you have specialized experience and education about how they might interact. That's the challenge that we face with folks who are trying to experience CBD or cannabinoid medicine for the first time and they don't have a guide, right? Like you need a tour guide almost. You need somebody to sort of explain it. And so when we talk with new folks specifically, it's really learning what are their challenges, right? So some folks, they'll say, my doctor said I should give it a try. Oh, wonderful. So what are you seeing your doctor for? Because we have to have that trusting relationship. Sure. And so to find out what challenges they're facing, if they've tried anything before or not. And that helps us look at the suite of products because some people may be experiencing gastric challenges where you don't want them having an oil-based treatment or an edible that they're already going to have problems with. You may want to look at a different type of whether it's a topical. Some people also, especially the challenge with our medical cannabis program here in Texas is that you don't have inhalation therapies. And that is the most efficient delivery method for it.
I can see that.
And it is not something that our medical patients currently can participate in right
so
now.
It's just edibles and
tinctures.
Topicals.
Yep. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And by the way, anytime anybody asks me anything, I send them to you.
Thank you.
I'm like, she's a wealth of knowledge. You need to go talk to her.
So it's asking the questions of when we had the store, what brings you in today? Yeah. Was the question that we would ask everyone. Yeah. Because some people, they just came in the store because they were waiting for their hair appointment and they came in early versus someone is like, I was getting this treatment done and my practitioner said that I might want to look at trying CBD and they sent me over here. Great. What are you getting your treatments for? What are the challenges that you're facing? Do you have other intolerances or things that we need to be conscientious of? Right. So it's really looking at that. And then we always have an active repository, I'm going to say of a few hundred at least, studies that I've downloaded from the National Institute of Health. And I try to go back and update every 6 months. I'm not always as on top of it as I could be, but those are a wealth of knowledge for us because it allows us to then store those files based on physicality, body type, right? So if you're an oncology patient or if you have Crohn's and colitis, or, there are people that have certain challenges. The very first thing I do is I go to the repository and look to see what studies are out there. Are there just conjecture type, we're going to be looking at this. Are there any preclinical or clinical studies currently available? Because obviously those are further along and might net more information out of them. So we start with that to try to understand what the challenges are to then hopefully pair an approach that would work. Yeah.
No, I really like that. But there are so many people that just go out and don't educate themselves about it and they just go out and get whatever's even in Colorado, right? Like you can just.
Oh yeah. People absolutely do.
The education.
They just go out and
it's not there.
And in Colorado, if you are at a recreational adult use space, then you're basically relying on the knowledge of the person who's referred to as the bud tender, the person who is kind of like your customer service agent throughout the whole time that you're there. Bud tender.
Okay.
So,
new term for me.
Yeah. And obviously because it's buds rather than drinks, so it's not a bar.
Bud tender.
Yeah. And so you're relying on the information that the bud tender has about, and they say that because obviously in Colorado, you can go in and you can just see an entire wall of cannabis buds that are all different. They do all these different things. And they have all these different, mixes. And for some people, they know chemistry wise, they've already worked with their doctor that they need this particular strain and it needs to have this certain amount of THC versus CBD. And all of those things can be tested in the lab. But for us, an educated consumer is a dedicated consumer, because if you're not educated, then you're just going to you're going to be kind of like the bee or the butterfly, and you're just going to go from spot to spot, and you don't really know what you're looking for and what to ask for. And so the other thing that we try to help people understand is, never buy it at a gas station. Yeah. I'm not dissing gas stations. We
That's
all
the
need
hype.
them.
Yeah.
But the thing is they don't know anything about what they carry related to CBD.
Yeah.
I'm sure they know about a lot of the other convenience things, but you also need to know that what you're consuming or putting on your body has been properly tested and meets the legal requirements. And so that's the other question when I do presentations like at Rotary Clubs and things like that. The big question and what I try to help people understand is every CBD product has to have a QR code on the back of it or a visible website that you can easily go to, which has the lab test, because that QR code should take you right to the lab test.
Oh, interesting.
Because and this is law. And this is the thing that's really frustrating to me is that for those of us that do it right. So I have to be registered with the Texas Department of Health. I have a special number. I have to re-up it every year. And that means that they can come to our place, and they've done it. I've actually had an inspector come unannounced, pull product out, requisition it, pull it out of the store, take it and test it. And so if the place isn't registered to do that properly, then you don't know what you're getting, especially if there's no QR code on the back to take you to the lab test so that you know what's in there.
So that's really great to know, right? Because that's one of the things that I'm asking for. Like, how do I know if this is legit or not?
Look for the QR code on the back.
That's a good tip. That's a good tip for everybody because that's easy.
Absolutely. It's the very first thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Now I want to go pick some up and like.
That's the thing. Is like I gotta check out my QR code.
I know.
Right?
So basically, what the tests are telling, maybe toxicity or what?
The basic test that has to be done is Delta 9 THC, so that they show that it's legal.
That's the 0.3,
right? And then cannabinoids. So whichever cannabinoids they are claiming. So if it's a full spectrum product where it could have all of the cannabinoids in place, and there's more than 100,
so cool.
Then they're going to show you probably the top 5 or the top 10 cannabinoids that people might be looking for within that.
And those treat different things?
They can. I mean, I'm not a physician, so I can't tell you they treat things, but some people experience certain things in different ways. So like CBN is one of those cannabinoids that is being studied for help with sleep, because some people don't tolerate melatonin, right? Like for me, when I take melatonin, I wake up with a hangover. So
I've heard some people in the scientific world say that it's not even good to take.
So, exactly. And so there are folks that are using different cannabinoids based on studies to say we'll provide a whole suite of cannabinoids. So if it's full spectrum or what's called broad spectrum, it may still have those other cannabinoids in there. Whereas 0 THC or isolate means that it only has CBD. In the lab, they have isolated the CBD from all the other cannabinoids and have gotten rid of all the other cannabinoids, so you just have CBD.
Yeah, so that's not the 0.3 THC.
No, it's got 0.0.
Yeah.
No THC detectable in the lab test. And so the lab test, that's why it's so critical, because, we're here in Houston. Yeah. And so the oil and gas industry, the healthcare industries, the transportation sector industries, a lot of these industries are subject to drug screening. Yeah. And so it's really, really important if somebody wants to try CBD, that if they are subject to drug screening, only try isolate or 0 THC. And it needs to be on the label that it has no THC. Because even if you're not breaking the law, you can still lose your job because of policies that are in place. And we would never want to see somebody lose their job because they're trying to find relief from something and they tried a full spectrum when they shouldn't have, and it gets found. Yeah.
So that's another good point. So it should say no THC. By law, it has to say no THC.
0 THC or isolate. And that's a challenge, is that if people don't know that isolate means 0 THC, but really it needs to tell you on the label, and the person that you're buying it from, if it's not already a website that is a brand that you have a relationship with and you know the product, you need to be able to easily find that information.
Yeah. See, these are the things that people need to know, right? The really simple things that you can do when you're walking through a gas station.
Right. And any one of these organic markets, any of these places where you see it, ask the people who are working there what they know about it. Yeah. Because if they don't know much about it, don't buy it. You want an informed seller as much as you want to be an informed consumer.
I agree. So we go through that a lot with our herbs.
I bet.
All the herbs that I carry are good manufacturing products. GMPs. So they go through so much testing for toxicity and stuff like that. But a lot of my herbs say don't take if pregnant.
Right.
And I called one of the companies because one of the formulas was for pregnancy.
Right.
And I was like, why does this say not to use when you're pregnant? Because women are very hesitant to take stuff that says that.
They are.
And I don't blame them.
Right.
Because it hasn't gone through testing.
Right.
And I think it's too expensive.
And to them, it's a risk management move on their half that may have gotten them a lower insurance rate.
Good to know.
It's all a game. Yeah. It's all a game. The drug screening for a lot of industries, it's not a proactive safety thing. Yeah. It's because their insurance policy as an employer requires that they have a policy in place in order to get a certain rate.
That makes more sense.
It's a bit of a game.
It makes more sense.
Yes.
Yes. So I hope that people will trust me as I have built relationships with them to explain to them that this is a formula that is very safe for them. But so anyways, I think those are really great tips. And I can't wait to go try it out on something.
Yes.
Just because I pass by like in Whole Foods, you always see that. When I was Christmas shopping, I was looking for lotions and stuff like that. I saw it in everything and I would just look at it and I'm like, I just don't know, Right. But so here's my next question. As far as pain, because most people know CBD products, for pain, sleep are the two big ones.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I know you're not a doctor, but in your experience, is CBD, the isolate, effective for pain, or is it more effective to have the THC in it?
So in my experience and the people who have consistently come into the store, I will tell you that isolate can be effective for those of us where the pain is coming from inflammation or tissue-based challenges, right? So our bodies have CB receptors.
Okay.
It's called an endogenous system, right? So it's internal, and it is you have the CB1 receptor, which is more responsive to the delta-9 THC. And then you have the CB2 receptor, which is more responsive to the CBD. Those receptors are in different places in your body. And so the CB1 receptor is more neuro and along the nerve lines, whereas the CB2 receptor is more internal organs and tissue associated. And so that is why you get different responses out of them. And so if you have a lot of inflammation, you may have luck with the 0 THC. But if it's nerve generated pain, in my personal experience, my family members' experience, the full spectrum with the additional complements of the other cannabinoids, but especially that 0.3% delta-9 THC, that's where people find more relief, because it has to somehow touch on that CB1 receptor that we have. And it's not hitting that receptor.
Right.
If it's just the isolate CBD.
Oh, that's so good to know.
Yeah. And so in my store, and I put this in my presentations when I'm out doing club work, but in my store, I used to have a fabulous poster on the wall. And, you know, just like you have your armatures, like whatever it is, it's basically the human body, and it mapped the CB1 and CB2 receptors and where you could find them. And they were in different colors so that it makes it easier to kind of explain. See all those CB1 receptors in the head? That's why delta-9 THC creates that heady high experience, because there's so many receptors. Yeah.
That is so good to know. You know, I don't know how much you know about Chinese herbs and how we diagnose, but like 5 people will come in with insomnia.
Okay.
And we'll diagnose them all differently, right? And the way our herbs are set up is they're set up and categorized by patterns, right? So liver yin deficiency, kidney yin deficiency, heart yin deficiency, spleen qi deficiency. Those are all different diagnoses, right? Like, so, and you can have insomnia to all of them.
Right.
So if I give them a formula for, if someone comes in with a kidney yin deficiency and I give them a formula for liver qi stagnation, it's not going to work on them.
Right.
Right.
That totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so sometimes, because a lot of people would come in taking melatonin for sleep, and I couldn't really talk about it because it's, Western herbs are not set up like our Eastern herbs are in those pattern differentiations, right? It's just like melatonin is for insomnia. Well, for me, I'm like, well, what kind of insomnia?
Right.
Yeah.
Because the insomnia is the symptom rather than the problem.
Right.
It's just showing up in this way because I have this deeper problem. And for my chemistry, insomnia is what I get.
Right.
Okay. I got
So I think it's interesting to hear that, because you just differentiated, like, this is best for this type of pain, and this is best for this type of pain because of the receptors.
Right.
So to me, that makes perfect sense. I love it.
Exactly. And we always, and what's important to us too is, because I'm not a physician and I can't make any claims or recommendations. What I really like to do is find the studies that we talked about earlier in the repository and get people who are interested, that have questions, the information so that they can have an educated conversation with their primary healthcare provider or any other folks that they are seeing, so that there's, and especially with pharmacological interactions, because that's another thing that is very specialized, that you're going to know about what your work is, but that you may not know about what we do. Cannabinoids, especially CBD, is known as a blood thinner. So as a stroke survivor, I had to take blood thinners for a while until they, basically were like, okay, you're fine. So if you are on a blood thinner that's prescription, you're probably getting your INR tested consistently, right? And so if you're taking CBD, it could impact your INR numbers. And so you have to have a conversation about that with your physician. Because if you're like, look, I really, really want to do this because I find it's helpful for here, then they need to understand how it's going to impact so that they can titrate their dosing so that you don't defeat any purposes or cause anything to go haywire. And it's the same thing for blood pressure. So if you're on blood pressure medication, because CBD helps with that for some, then you need to have a conversation with your physician about it. So whenever I do presentations, I'm always like, if you're on blood pressure medication or if you're on blood thinners, do not take it until we get you some information that lets you have an informed conversation with your physician.
Yeah, no, I like that. We have blood movers. It's contraindicated if somebody is on blood thinners.
Exactly.
Right. So if you're doing herbs that move blood, taking some gummies and blood thinners could be a real issue.
And you wonder why you bruise when you barely touch the wall.
Right.
that would be why.
That's a
exactly.
sign.
Yeah.
Well, that is just so great. It would be fun to throw, I'm not the one to do this, but if anybody out there is in, Dr. John Chen might be a good one to study. He's kind of an icon he's a herbologist and a pharmacologist. And so he's pretty amazing. It would be really fun to see what he says from a Chinese medicine perspective and a Western perspective, right? Because he's really good at talking about both of them together.
Nice.
And I would love to see that because from a Chinese medicine perspective, how does it differentiate into different patterns? Would be fun for me.
Yeah. And I think too, what you would love really is that our oldest documented uses for cannabis medicinally are Chinese medicine.
Interesting.
5,000 years. Yeah. I mean, and so what happened is that it fell out of favor because of the legal ramifications, right? And so, if it was unlawful to grow and so it might not have been made unlawful in other countries, but what happened is when the U.S. made it unlawful, if you were a trading partner, this is us being the heavy in the room, right? You can basically say, you guys need to adjust your policies because we don't want you importing.
Right.
And so it's a sticky wicket and not a pretty situation of how it was used, but it meant that places where it wasn't outlawed on their own volition got pressure from the U.S. to do that.
Because that's how it works.
Of course. Of course. When you're the big man in a room, that's most unfortunate.
Yeah. I think we're all pretty familiar with stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good lead into the policies that are being created, because that's another thing that we wanted to talk about because people can be proactive and this is the time to do it.
This is the time to do it. So we're here in Texas.
Yes.
Texas is different legislatively than a lot of states. So we only meet once every 2 years.
Okay.
They're odd years. So it's 2023. So it's a legislative year for us. And they go into session in January and everything is done by May, June timeframe. Bills have to be filed by March 10th. Okay. So we're coming up on the deadline for bill filing. So this is the 88th legislative session for the state of Texas. If you think about it, 5 months every 2 years to get the business of a state our size done is extremely difficult.
Yeah, I bet.
And so that is why it is so important when it is a legislative session to find out what is on your legislators' minds and what bills are out there. Because we don't have a full-time, always in session legislature like some other states do. And so it makes it a much longer process when you want to see change happen.
Yeah, I can see that
here. And it is really, really important to get involved.
Yeah.
And so I love it if people would actually be able to have the opportunity to go to their capital, their state, and walk the halls, meet their legislators in person, talk to their staff if the legislators are actually in session and can't meet with you when you're there. But they represent us.
Yeah.
And they need to hear what their constituents want to know or have concerns about. And so when we talk legislatively, especially right now with the plant, and so what we refer to as plant touching policy, right? So anything that has to do with the cannabis plant whatsoever is how
just
we look
cannabis.
at it. Just cannabis.
Okay.
So plant touching policy is what we're talking about. So here in Texas, we have kind of 3 different pillars, for lack of a better word, to call them. When you talk about plant touching policy, you've got strictly medicinal, medical cannabis. Then you have the camp that looks to decriminalize and reduce penalties.
Sure.
And then you have the group that's looking for legalization and creating a legal framework for successful adoption, right? Okay. So those are 3 different focuses. Right? And then it's what's called plant or miscellaneous bills. And what those are, oftentimes when they're called miscellaneous, it means they're a cleanup bill where they come in and kind of address something that was found to be problematic in a previous legislative language. And so they'll come back and try to refine that languaging because it either made it difficult for the rulemaking agency to do their work, or it opened up another can of worms. So when I was at a conference last year, this was stated by a lobbyist, but he said, Texas passes 2. They cannot go out of session without passing at least 2 laws every year.
Oh, just 2.
One is the budget. Oh. They must pass the budget every single time they meet. And then the other one is called the law of unintended consequences. And that is basically all the crap that happens when the dust settles after legislation has been approved and you see what really is happening out in your jurisdiction. And so every year you're guaranteed those a budget and the law of unintended consequences. And I just love that when I saw that, because that's why you end up having cleanup bills where they come in and try to address, we didn't think about that when we languaged it that way. So we have, and I had to print them up because there are so many, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4 bills specifically focusing on medical cannabis, which is that first pillar that we talked about. And so the idea being that, if something is considered industrial hemp, it can't have more than 0.3% Delta 9 THC. Our medical cannabis program, Texas Compassionate Use Program, or what we call TCUP, they get you up to 0.5. Isn't that much? Yeah. They're trying to go for higher numbers. But it was also extremely restrictive in which conditions even qualified to be allowed to use the program.
And what were those conditions? Do you know?
Originally, it was very specific, like epilepsy. Like there were very, very specialized known issues. And then last session, they got it expanded a little bit more because what we've found is that the veteran community uses a lot of cannabis medicine because they've had so many challenges either getting any treatment at all at the VA or getting a cocktail of medicines that somehow has the side effects that we talked about before that are so powerful that they have really been problematic. And so I have to credit the veteran community here in Texas for really, really pushing for PTSD and chronic pain to be added. And they were very clear that it should not be veterans only experiencing PTSD because so many other people have experienced PTSD from other traumatic events. And, the veterans said, we want to push for this, but don't just limit it to us. And that's bringing other people along with you, lifting while you climb, basically. And so big thanks to them on that.
So that passed.
So that did. And then now they have another expansion, a series of requests. We have both Senate and House bills that are up, but really in an ideal world, medical cannabis should not have a percentage in limiter on how much
like the
THC.
0.5. Yeah.
As the physician, they should be able to prescribe dosage based on all these variety of things that we talked about earlier. Patient's condition, age, weight, are they active or not? I mean, there are so many things that go into what you're looking at for dosing. But then also removing of the qualified conditions, again, allowing the physician to practice medicine. And not having legislators trying to practice medicine. And so I would love to see an expansion of medical for that, because the problem is people, in order to get to the volume of THC that they need, they were taking so much carrier oil that it was causing major gastric distress. Because in order to get the THC that I really need for whatever
they just
this
take
is,
a lot.
It is like a huge amount of oil.
And what about, it seems now, I don't know. I'm going to say this, but there's this whole opioid crisis that we're having, and most of the people, they're in pain, and it seems like a good solution to not prevent what's going on, but to at least help these people. Instead of putting them on opioids, where then they don't get prescribed anymore, and then they go to the black market or the streets to get this. And
all I can tell you is that there are a lot of studies being done right now, specifically on whether cannabis medicine can be helpful in reducing the reliance on opioids that many people have.
I hope so.
And I would love to see more of it. And this honestly, this is why federally we need to remove it as a Schedule 1 drug classification. Because if we can, so when you're Schedule 1, you can't have access to it, right? Like you have to, they don't see a medicinal value for it. And it's like, wait a minute. There's clearly medicinal value. We've got thousands of years worth of recorded and anecdotal history on the value of cannabis medicine. But it was so restricted for so long that we lost 50 years of quality study in controlled environments because people couldn't get it to study. So by not having access to it,
Yeah.
We're way behind where we should be.
Yeah.
In true scientific, double-blind, the full peer-reviewed studies. Right. We should have 30 to 50 years of that, and we don't.
We don't. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I hope that changes are coming because I think it could be a huge reduction in the opioid crisis that's going on right now.
That would be amazing. I would love to see that. And that kind of takes us into that next pillar that we're talking about, which is decriminalization and penalty reduction. So if we could change the scheduling of it so that it is no longer seen as a Schedule I where it's criminalized at the highest level.
Yeah.
So that people who do find, here we're in Texas, okay? So we know it's restrictive, but I'm not originally from Texas. I moved here 10 years ago from a state that had medical cannabis, from a part of the country that had medical and regional recreational for a while.
Where'd you move from?
So I moved here from Nevada, but of course being so involved, and it's like right on the border of Nevada and California. And so it was like, you're just part of that community. And they were so ahead of the game on the medical side. But the idea of we don't get to attract the brightest and the best talent to this state if that talent has, say, a kid with intractable epilepsy or some other health problems where they really can't get access to the medicine that they need safely. We're losing people, and we're losing money as a state, as well as losing quality of people. It's not welcoming. And so by seeing decriminalization or penalty reductions, that would be amazing. And there are a lot of House bills and Senate bills specifically on that, because when you get into penalty reduction, boy, then you really get into the meat of the languaging about how they assess whether you have a certain number of grams versus ounces, and in the form, is it in original flower form or is it a concentrate, those kinds of things. So there's a lot of real detailed language that goes into that, but essentially trying to make it so that those families do not face the consequences, the penalties, legal penalties, because they're trying to find relief for their loved ones and family members.
Yeah. And how do you feel? Like, I know a lot of people are just scared that if the penalties are reduced and usage is allowed, people are scared that there would be maybe another, crisis on our hands. Like, how do you feel about that?
Well, I think that the crisis is entirely conjecture, because so far, and granted, we're still early in legalization within other states where you have the opportunity to do quality studies. But right now, the information that I'm reading tells us that we don't have an increase in problems that one might associate with using a substance in the states where it's been recreationally approved, right?
Sure.
So their old favorite one was, our teenagers will start smoking pot more.
Yeah.
You know what? That is an entirely unfounded issue, because right now there's a lot of studies out there that show us that's not really what happens in states with legal access. Yeah. Because we forget, it's like demystifying it. Yeah. It takes it away. It's kind of like my European family, like the kids had a little bit of wine
I was
at dinner
just thinking
when they
about
were
European,
7 and 8 and 9.
Yeah, it's not a big deal to them.
It's like, I don't need to run out and get drunk because I know what that does. Right. Right. And so when you demystify something and you make it accessible, then that shroud of taboo is actually what makes it more attractive. Of an issue, right? Yeah. And so, anyway, so I would love to see that on the the penalty reduction side. And then legalization, we've got Senate and House bills here in Texas where they're trying to create legal markets and frameworks. Obviously, Colorado's been doing this since 2014. It's an easy study to really take their data and look at that. But Oklahoma, their medical is new, still working, but now our other neighboring state on to the west, New Mexico, is recreational, right? And so we now have Texas touching states very close that are showing up in different ways that we could do a better job of learning from. But really the millions to billions in tax dollars that Texas is hemorrhaging that could be used in our state because we send people elsewhere when they want to have plant medicine is really, again, it's another, it's baffling to me. But that obviously is a bit of a pipe dream, I think, to hope for true legalization in Texas at this time. I think we're a couple of more legislative sessions out, and nothing's going to happen if the feds don't deschedule, because Texas, with these kinds of policies, tends to peg to federal policy. So we didn't, fortunately, since the Farm Bill was 2018 federally, we rolled into 2019 in a legislative session here in Texas, and people were ready and informed to open up the market and create that languaging for industrial hemp that mirrored federal. And so it takes us a while to get to that point. And this was a new thing to learn for me, not being born here in Texas, because I'm very much into civics. I love studying, how policy is made and that sort of a thing. But the way Texas Constitution is set up and the way our legislature works, you cannot do ballot initiatives where people can go around and get 600,000 signatures from verified voters to get something put on a ballot for the people to approve and become law. It doesn't work that way here in Texas.
I didn't know that.
You have to go through the legislative process. And the way you can amend the Constitution is using a tool called a joint resolution, where both the House and the Senate have language that they think is strong enough to amend the Constitution. And it has to be approved all the way through the process legislatively just to be allowed to be put on the ballot for voters. Then the voters have to approve it. Then it has to go back to the legislature another time and hope that it passes again. And so constitutional amendments through that route, extremely difficult. But it's the only time where you'll get to see people voting on something to amend the Constitution like this. And it's they still don't have the final power. It's your elected officials that have the final power. And so that's a really important thing to understand if you are wanting to reach out to your legislature, is who's got the power.
Right.
I'm going to tell you, here in the state of Texas, the most powerful person legislatively, in my perspective, is the lieutenant governor. Because the lieutenant governor is the head of the Senate. And it does not matter how overwhelmingly supported a piece of legislation is in the House. It could have passed with flying colors. If the lieutenant governor does not want it, they simply will not schedule it for a hearing for the Senate, and it dies. That, to me, is an appalling level of control in one person's hand. And if that one person is very anti expansion, personal freedom, it's not going to happen until that person no longer has that seat. And so that's why voting matters. Writing your legislators matters. call them, write them. And if you have the scheduling freedom, show up. We actually, so like I was saying before, March 10th is the filing deadline for bills here in Austin. Yeah. March 14th is actually the Cannabis Policy Day, where a lot of folks from all over the state of Texas are going to be busing in to walk the halls. They have poster sessions where they set up really beautiful posters to help inform the legislators that are in the hallway, so that as you're passing through offices, going in and out of committee meetings, you have the posters there.
Yeah.
People, trying to catch their legislator in the hall if they don't have an appointment. Yeah. That sort of a thing. So,
and that's March 14th?
That's March 14th. Yeah.
Exciting.
So it's on my calendar for sure.
So what would someone do? Like myself, you said, reach out to your, legislators and what does that mean? Like, what do you mean when you say that? Like, what's a really simple thing that people can do if they're interested in this?
The simplest and easiest way. So the national organization, NORML, NORML. So they are a national organization. Yeah. But they are very much towards legalizing cannabis. Yeah. And the Texas NORML chapter has a great website where you can find out all of the bills that are currently listed. You can click on it and it'll take you to the text of the measure. You can read it. It'll also let you send an email right from that site to your legislator. I have already sent notes to my legislators on all of these. I still plan to go.
Sure.
And show up. Yeah. But that is absolutely the easiest way. They have if you're looking for I have very little time.
Right. That's what I'm thinking.
And I need a clearinghouse of the easiest and fastest way to do that. Yeah. I would go to the Texas NORML website. Okay. And on the very top, it has 88th Legislature tab where you find all this information. And then you can click and see what this bill is. And then you can send an email.
Okay. I like that.
And that is by far for our super busy professionals.
Yeah. Yeah. Because I think a lot of people are interested. I'm interested. But I have so much on my plate that it's like for me to sit down and figure out how to do all of this or to write some long letter. And I'm, not even really quite sure what I'm writing about, except for that. I think that, legalizing it, or at least for medical use, could be really beneficial in so many different ways. But then how do I do that? Yeah. With minimal time. Right. So, and I think most people are like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things too that I think is great is organizations like Texas NORML. Yeah. They send out action alerts. So if you're willing to sign up for those, they're emails that tell you, hey, we just found out that this bill got scheduled for debate on this day at this time. If you haven't had a chance to write your legislator yet about this one. Right. Do it if you can't be there. Because at least, they got the open meeting laws, right? Yeah. So when they have these discussions, you can, as a person, show up.
Right. I like that. I'll need to get that from you, and I'll put it in the show notes.
Definitely.
So people can click on it. Yeah.
You got it.
Well, what else?
I think we covered everything that I wanted to talk about at least in relationship to policy. Yeah. But really reach out, ask questions. That's why we said our tagline, educating and elevating the conversation around all things hemp. We want to be a resource. Anybody who's in this business should be a resource. And if they're not, they need to get out of the business because they're not serving the people or the plant. Right.
Yeah. And I think that the less educated you are about something, and then you make a wrong choice and then it doesn't work. And then you're kind
of pass it off. You're like,
whatever, it doesn't work.
Right.
So that doesn't help either.
It doesn't. It doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that a lot.
Yeah. Because if you don't know that cannabinoids bind to fat, right? So Maybe you're a super skinny, very low fat percentage because you're a marathoner, right? So you don't have all the good fat. So when you're using cannabinoids, you need to increase your omegas.
Interesting.
So that it has something to bind to and stay in longer in your system so that it doesn't just get flushed out so quickly that you don't have a chance to benefit from it. So that's why chemistry matters. Everybody's body is different.
Everybody's different. Yeah. No, I love that you've given some really great tips and things to look for and great knowledge. You're always a wealth of knowledge, though.
My pleasure.
So tell people how to get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So our website is HoustonHemporium.com. And our email is elevate
Love it.
HoustonHemporium.com. Okay. And so you can send us an email, and we really do try to be as quick as possible in replying to those things. And I do check junk just in case, every once in a while.
You're
you
good.
Never know.
Never check
well,
junk.
Every once in a while you get a phone call and, hey, I sent you an email about something, and you're like, well, I didn't see that.
So true.
So you got to check the junk and the spam folder. So we try to be good about that too. But, and we also understand that some people, they don't want to put things in writing about certain health challenges. Then, say, hey, I would really like to have a conversation about this and not do the email thing. We'll have a conversation. A lot of the folks here in the Houston area will meet up at a coffee shop.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Actually have, in-person chat. So we try to make it flexible and easy.
That's awesome. Well, I think you're doing a great job, and you're doing great work for the community and for the planet. So thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thanks for inviting me back. I love being here and having great conversation.
Yeah. Well, you'll be back, I'm sure.
Yay.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Sherry.
Well, what did you all think? Good stuff, huh? Well, I hope you all enjoyed it and learned as much as I did. And if you want to get involved, I will put a link to the normal website in the show notes. Legislature is in session now, so you have a couple of weeks to take action. I believe Kimberly said it was somewhere around mid-March. So if you have any questions, reach out to me or Kimberly. I will put her information in the show notes as well. And yeah, I guess that's a wrap, guys. We'll meet back here next time. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the podcast and share with your family and friends. You can also give me a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. It helps others find me as well. To get updates on new episodes and wellness inspiration in your inbox, please join the Wellness Inspired community. Go to the wellnessinspiredpodcast.com to sign up. I'll put a link in the show notes so you can click and join. Also, there is a Facebook community at The Wellness Inspired, and follow me on Instagram at wellness_inspired. If you're in the Houston area or just visiting and interested in our services, acupuncture, herbal medicine, cupping, Zen Shiatsu, or dry needling therapy, contact us. You can find out more on our website at element5om.com. That's element, the number 5om.com. I'll put the link in the show notes as well. If you're interested in health and wellness coaching, we can connect in the clinic or on Zoom. Reach out and we'll get you on the schedule. As always, I would love to hear your feedback. I am dedicated to bringing you great content to inspire, motivate, and empower you in the pursuit of a wellness lifestyle. Thank you so much for listening. We'll meet here again next time. And never stop exploring, learning, loving, and being you. Bye.